To break down the impact of tariffs on weddings, I'm joined by Liene Stevens. She's the CEO and founder of Think Splendid, a consulting firm focused exclusively on the $1.3 trillion global wedding market. Liene, thanks for joining us. Great having you. Anyone who has planned a wedding knows costs are no joke. I'm one example. How will President Trump's tariffs raise the prices of wedding-related goods?
Well, the prices are going up on everything that gets imported, unfortunately. And so with weddings, that is across the board. There are an average of 43 vendors working on a wedding, and most of those companies import. And if they purchase locally, still some of the mechanics and underlying products that the local producers use still come from overseas. So unfortunately, we're going to see across almost every category in weddings increase.
And Liene, I'd like to explore the multiplying effect here, because putting on a wedding is not a single supplier affair. According to some experts, there are on average 43 vendors involved in the big day, and they have suppliers themselves who rely on who they rely on. So could you give us a sense of what the impact the tariffs will have on the whole supply chain of the global wedding industry?
Sure. If the wedding is in the United States, then obviously the importing company, whether that is the planner, the florist themselves, or the wholesaler that they use for the flowers, the decor rental company, if they run out and buy something last minute at Michael's, all of that gets imported. And then if those costs go up, then there isn't as much budget to stretch, so to speak. So that either comes down to reducing the guest count or spending more or figuring out creative ways to have a smaller wedding. But that means also the inventory that is being purchased from the suppliers overseas goes down, and their revenue goes down as well, which makes it more difficult to produce those products and hopefully stay in business in order to keep supplying.
And who do you think is going to feel the biggest brunt of tariffs on the industry? Will couples feel most of the pinch, or do you expect vendors to eat some of the cost?
So far, the vendors are doing what they can to eat some of the cost. Unfortunately, this industry is largely made up of small businesses with less than 10 employees. And so anything more than 10 is considered a large company, and that has thinner margins than people think. Lots of people think that if you say the word wedding, the price automatically goes up. And while that's a nice idea, it's not true. This industry is small businesses who charge fairly for the most part. And so they really don't necessarily have the financial margin to eat the costs. And so for the ones that are doing what they can to take care of the contracts already in place, but couples will see an increase because not every company can save that cost. And just going forward until the tariffs are repealed, if they are at all, those prices will go up, which means the contracts that haven't been signed yet will automatically be at the higher prices.
And Liene, are you looking at specific categories to feel a bigger pinch?
I believe florists are going to see the biggest pinch because that is a perishable product that cannot be stocked up on ahead of time and stored in a warehouse. Rental decors will be the next highest because most of those have either entire products or components that come from overseas, but those two will be the highest.
And Liene, how do you expect the wedding industry to look after these tariffs?
Well, unfortunately, the tariffs have already started impacting it in the sense that they've impacted the markets and people are uncertain. And so they're a little bit more risk averse. 1 in 6 couples will sell stocks or liquidate assets in order to help pay for part or all of their wedding. And once you get into the luxury space, which is budgets of $96,000 USD or more, that number goes up to half, and 49% liquidate stocks. And so when people are not sure of what's happening with the stock market, they don't really want to sell. Or, the stocks went down, and so they don't have as much available to them as they thought they did when they set their initial budget. And so we're really seeing a lot of that already impact the industry in that bookings are slower to come in right now already. People are wanting to spend less, or they have the amount and the contracts they signed with budgets they agreed to and minimum spends that they agreed to, the funding is not necessarily there any longer because of the volatility of the market. So that has been something that the industry is navigating as a whole right now.